The battlefield encounter, the air on Proxima Vi tasted like metal and ash. Commander Rennick Voss wiped blood from his face as he surveyed the battlefield, a graveyard of twisted metal and broken bodies. Human and Zinthari alike lay scattered. Across the black volcanic soil, victims of a war neither side truly understood. Rennick's squad had been decimated in the ambush. His cums were dead, his transport destroyed.
Ow.
All that remained was his field kit and a desperate need to find shelter before nightfall brought the acid rains. He found her beneath the wreckage of a crystalline shippa, slender figure in ceremonial armor that glowed faintly despite the damage. At first, he thought she was dead. The Zinthari were known for their bioluminescence, and hers had dimmed barely a flicker. Then he noticed the shallow rise and fall of her chest. "Just my luck," he muttered, kneeling beside her. Finding the enemy instead of rescue. But years of field medicine overrode his caution. He scanned her with his medical unit, the readings making his heart sink. Poison, some toxin. His scanner couldn't identify was shutting down her systems. Her eyes fluttered open, opalescent irises focusing on him with surprising clarity. The translator at his wrist crackled with her whispered words. "End it quickly, human. Show mercy." Rennick shook his head. "Not today. I'm a soldier, not an executioner." He rummaged through his field kit, knowing nothing there was designed for Zinthari physiology. The poison was spreading fast. Without intervention, she'd be dead within minutes. "This is crazy," he whispered, prepping his transfusion equipment. Human blood shouldn't be compatible with Zinthari biology, but his scanner indicated their plasma proteins were surprisingly similar. It was a desperate gamble. As he inserted the needle into his arm, the Zinthari's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Probably killing us both," he admitted, "but it's worth a try." The dark crimson of his blood flowed through the clear tube, mingling with her silvery blue circulatory system. Where they met, an unexpected reaction occurred. The fluids swirled together, creating a purple iridescence that pulsed with its own light. Pain shot through Rennick's body, not the expected rejection, but something deeper, as if his very DNA was being rewritten. The Zinthari gasped, her back arching as the transformed blood entered her system. For a moment, their minds touched, a flash of shared consciousness that left him reeling. He saw memories not his own, crystal cities, ancient rituals, the weight of a crown. When the connection broke, the Zinthari was breathing normally, her skin glowing with renewed vitality. She sat up slowly, staring at Rennick with astonishment. "You've done something impossible," she whispered. "Do you know who I am?" Before he could answer, the sound of approaching ships cut through the air. Zinthari vessels, elegant and deadly, descending toward their position. "I'm Thalacia," she said, rising to her feet with unexpected strength. "Queen of the Zinthari sovereignty." Rennick's blood ran cold. He'd just performed experimental field medicine on the enemy monarch. "And you," she continued, touching the place where his blood had entered her veins, "have changed everything." The royal awakening Rennick awoke to a ceiling that resembled liquid silver, swirling with patterns that responded to his consciousness. He lay on something that felt alive, warm, supportive, adjusting to his movements. Definitely not a military cot. The events before he lost consciousness came rushing back. The battlefield. The wounded Zinthari queen, the blood transfusion that had turned into something much stranger. He sat up, fighting a wave of dizziness. "The consort awakens," announced a tall Zinthari, with skin like polished alabaster. "Consort," Rennick echoed. "There's been a misunderstanding." "Commander Rennick Voss, Terran Defense Force." "Your former title is irrelevant," the Zinthari replied. "You are blood bonded to Queen Thalacia. The ancient rites are clear." Before Rennick could protest further, a door materialized in the wall, and Queen Thalacia entered. Unlike the battlefield, where she'd been wounded and vulnerable, she now radiated power. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescence, and her flowing robes seemed woven from starlight. "Leave us," she commanded, and the attendant bowed deeply before departing. "Your Majesty," Rennick began awkwardly, "I think your people have the wrong idea about what happened." "Do they?" Thalacia approached, studying him with those unnerving opalescent eyes. "You gave me your blood willingly. Among my people, Such an act between royalty and another creates an unbreakable bond, a consort pairing. I was just trying to save your life, he protested, and succeeded beyond imagination. She extended her arm, revealing a pattern of purple veins that pulsed with the same iridescence he'd seen during the transfusion. Your blood changed me. I can feel your thoughts, your emotions, Rennick realized. He could sense her Tua presence in his mind, distant but undeniable. This is impossible, yet happening nonetheless. She sat beside him, the bed adjusting to support them both. My council is in disarray. Some believe the prophecy of dual crowns is unfolding. Others call for your execution. Execution sounds bad, Rennick muttered. What's your position? A smile touched her lips, the first he'd seen. I believe fate brought you to me for a reason, Commander Voss. The intimacy in her voice sent an unexpected warmth through him. The bond between them hummed like a living thing. The bond is strengthening, she observed. Soon we'll be able to share more than just impressions. And if I want to break it? Her expression darkened. It cannot be broken. Only death would sever it now. A chime sounded, and the door reappeared. A stern-faced Zinthari entered, his luminescence pulsing with barely contained hostility. Your Majesty, he said, pointedly ignoring Rennick, the Council demands your presence. The human's blood is affecting the Heartstone. Blicia rose gracefully. High Counselor Drexel, you will address my consort with respect. He is not worthy, yet chosen nonetheless, she interrupted. Commander Voss, will you accompany me? It seems our bond is already causing changes. Noticing for the first time that he'd been dressed in Zinthari garments, flowing fabrics that felt impossibly light. Do I have a choice? He asked. She met his gaze directly. We lost that luxury the moment our blood mingled, Commander. Now we face whatever comes together. The ancient temple, the journey to the Temple of Ascension, took 3 days by royal vessel, soaring over landscapes that defied Rennick's understanding of planetary formation. Crystal forests gave way to floating islands. Then vast plains where creatures like luminous whales swam through tall purple grass as if it were water. Your world is incredible, he admitted, as they stood on the observation deck, the bond between them growing stronger with each passing hour. He could feel Thalasia's pride in her realm, tinged with a deep-seated worry. It was once more beautiful, she said softly. Before the war that humans had supposedly started, though Rennick's memories of first contact told a different story. He wondered if she could sense that disagreement through their connection. I feel your doubt, she confirmed, turning to face him. Perhaps both our peoples remember history as it suits them. Their proximity sent the bond humming. Over the past days, Rennick had found himself increasingly drawn to her, not just physically, though her ethereal beauty was undeniable. There was a connection deeper than the blood they shared, a recognition that transcended species. The temple appears, announced the pilot. Interrupting the moment, rising from a sea of luminescent mist, stood an ancient structure not built, but grown. Its spires twisting upward like living things frozen in a moment of ecstatic dance. As they disembarked, Thalasia's hand found his. The touch sent electricity through his system, their shared blood resonating. Even High Counselor Drexel, who had accompanied them despite his obvious disapproval, stepped back at the visible purple aura that briefly surrounded them. The bond grows stronger than I anticipated, Thalasia whispered. Be prepared, the temple responds to blood. Inside, the air felt thick with potential energy. The walls themselves seemed to pulse with life, responding to their presence with shifting patterns of light that followed their movements. The heart chamber lies below, she said, leading him toward a spiral staircase that descended into soft blue light. The chamber was vasta, cathedral space, dominated by a floating crystal that pulsed with the same rhythm as Rennick's heartbeat. As they approached, tendrils of energy reached out toward them. The Heartstone has existed since before my people evolved consciousness, Thalasia explained. It contains all our collected memory and wisdom. It's reacting to our bond. To your blood in my veins, she corrected. Something unprecedented. The tendrils wrapped around them both. And suddenly Rennick wasn't just standing in the temple, he was everywhere and everyone at once. He saw the birth of stars, the evolution of the Zinthari, the arrival of humans in this sector, and something else, a shadowy presence that had slept for millennia, stirring now because of them. A voice that wasn't a voice filled his consciousness. The dual crown rises. The sleeper stirs. Two worlds will fall or stand together. When the vision released them, they collapsed into each other's arms, both trembling. "Did you see it?" he asked hoarsely. "The ancient enemy," she nodded, her face pressed against his chest. "Awakening because of us." In that moment of shared vulnerability, with the prophecy echoing in their minds, Rennick did what felt inexplicably right. He kissed her. Her lips tasted like starlight, and the bond between them exploded into a symphony of shared emotion. When they parted, breathless, the Heartstone had changed color, pulsing with the same purple iridescence as their mingled blood. "The prophecy is true," Drexel's voice came from behind them, filled with both awe and fear. "The human has awakened what was sealed away." The assassin's strike, the attempt on Thalasia's life, came during the night cycle, and the palace's bioluminescence dimmed to mimic darkness. Rennick awoke instantly, feeling her fear pulse through their bond before any physical sound reached him. He rolled from the sleeping platform, just as something whistled through the air where his head had been. In the low light, he caught the glint of Metala figure moving with unnatural speed toward the adjoining royal chamber.
"Alasia!"
he shouted both vocally and through their connection. The assassin had reached her room. A blade of crystallized energy raised high. But as the weapon descended, something impossible happened. The bond between Rennick and the Queen flared visibly, creating a shield of purple energy that deflected the strike. Taking advantage of the assassin's surprise, Rennick tackled the figure, grappling for control of the weapon. The assassin was strong, with the enhanced reflexes typical of Zinthari warriors. But Rennick had years of combat experience. They crashed into a table of delicate instruments, sending them shattering across the floor. Thalasia appeared in the doorway, her hands glowing with power. "Move aside," she commanded, and Rennick instinctively rolled away. The blast that erupted from her palms should have incinerated the assassin. Instead, it merely knocked him unconscious because Rennick had mentally pulled back the lethal intent, moderating her attack through their bond. "That's new," he panted. Rising to his feet, Thalasia looked equally startled. "You redirected my power." Guards flooded the chamber, securing the unconscious attacker. High Counselor Drexel pushed his way through, his face contorted with outrage. "This is what comes of tainting royal blood," he hissed. "The human makes you vulnerable." "No," Thalasia countered, her voice steady. "He just saved my life. And more, he prevented me from taking another. Our bond is strengthening in ways the ancient texts only hinted at." Later, when the palace had been secured and the assassin imprisoned, Rennick and Thalasia stood on her private balcony overlooking the Crystal City. Strange phenomena had been reported throughout the Zinthari, realm-annex plane power fluctuations. Ancient technologies reactivating disturbing dreams shared across populations. "The sleeper is awakening," she said quietly. "Just as the Heartstone warned." "And on Earth?" Rennick asked. He'd been unable to contact his superiors, but reports filtered through diplomatic channels spoke of similar anomalies affecting human colonies. "Both our worlds are changing," Thalasia confirmed. "Because of us." She turned to him, the starlight catching in her opalescent eyes. The initial discomfort of their forced bond had transformed into something neither could have anticipated, a deep connection that transcended physical attraction. When she stepped into his arms, it felt inevitable. Their lips met with a passion that sent ripples through the bond, intensifying every sensation. Her skin glowed brighter where he touched her, leaving trails of light that slowly faded. "This was never part of any prophecy," she whispered against his mouth. "Maybe it should have been," he answered, holding her closer. They didn't notice Drexel watching from the shadows, his face twisted with hatred. Nor did they see the strange dark energy gathering on the horizon, where the first tendrils of an ancient consciousness reached toward the waking world. Two worlds united. The sleeper came not as a monster but as a shadow of darkness that spread across both human and Zinthari territories, consuming light, hope, and life itself. Ancient texts called it the void between stars, consciousness that had envied the light of living things since the dawn of time. For 3 days, the shadow advanced. Military strikes passed through it harmlessly. Technology failed in its presence. Only the combined forces of human ingenuity and Xinthri mysticism managed to slow its expansion. On the 4th day, both species faced extinction. Rennick and Thalassia stood before the combined councils of Earth and Xinther. The ancient prophecy speaks of dual crowns, Thalassia explained, her hand firmly clasped in Rennick's. 2 leaders, 2 species, 2 worlds united by blood and purpose. What purpose would that be? Demanded Earth's Prime Minister, skepticism heavy in her voice. To face what comes between stars, Rennick answered. The thing awakened when our blood mingled wasn't. Just the bond or the prophesiat was the enemy. That the bond was created to defeat. Their plan was desperate too. Use the Heartstone's connection to all Xinthri, combined with humanity's vast communication network, to create a consciousness large enough to push back the void. Their blood bond would serve as the conduit. Channeling the collective energy of 2 species could kill you both, Drexel warned. His former animosity replaced by reluctant respect after witnessing their shared power against the shadow. If we do nothing, everyone dies, Rennick said simply. His preparations were made. Rennick and Thalassia retreated to the temple gardens. Perhaps their last moment of peace. I never imagined my life would lead here, he said, tracing the luminescent patterns on her skin that now permanently matched the purple of their shared blood. Do you regret it? She asked softly. The transfusion that bound us. He kissed her, letting the bond speak his answer more eloquently than words could. In these past weeks, their connection had deepened beyond anything either species had known to souls intertwined. Neither fully human nor Xinthri anymore, but something gloriously new when the time came. They stood before the Heartstone, surrounded by technology from both worlds. Billions of minds waited, connected through networks and ancient Xinthri pathways, ready to channel their consciousness through the bond. Ready? He asked, taking both her hands in his. With you? Always, she answered. The power surged through them, not just energy, but consciousness itself. The collective will of 2 species focused through their bond. The pain was beyond imagining, their bodies glowing with impossible light as they became the conduit for trillions of thoughts. Through their joined minds, they faced the void in ancient jealousy, a hunger older than stars. It recoiled from their light. From the unprecedented union of different forms of life working as one, for a moment that stretched like eternity. The outcome hung in balance. Then the void began to recede, pushed back by the combined will, channeled through their bond. It fought, tearing at their joined consciousness. Trying to break the connection, hold fast, Rennick gasped, feeling Thalassia's strength alongside his own, with a sound like the birth of a universe. The void collapsed, not destroyed, but banished, sealed away by the power of 2 species united in purpose. When awareness returned, they found themselves changed, their bodies permanently marked by the experience, glowing with internal light that pulsed between human red and Xinthri blue. What happens now? Someone asked as the 2 worlds celebrated their salvation. Thalassia, forever changed yet still a queen, smiled at Rennick. Now we build something new together. The war that had brought them to that fateful battlefield ended that day. In its place grew an alliance unlike any before, 2 species learning from each other, guided by leaders who understood both worlds, and if sometimes, when the stars aligned just so, people glimpsed their rulers walking hand in hand, glowing with that distinctive purple light well. That was just another miracle in an age of wonders.